Y'all, you are not going to believe the conversation I had with one of my best friends. Many of you have constantly asked me over the years, Tanner, why, when I talk to you, does it feel like you are wiser beyond your years? How did you become a foster parent? How did you meet Courtney? How did you all grow this business? And here's the deal. For the first time ever, I am opening up on one of my best friends' podcast. Edie Wadsworth is someone you have to know, and she invited me on her podcast a couple of weeks ago. And what you need to know is I was more vulnerable, more real, more raw than ever. And I thought I would be doing you a disservice by not posting it here on the channel. And with her permission, she said we could post it. I want you to know that there are things shared in this podcast. There are tears shed. There are things shared that Courtney and I would normally never talk about on the internet. But I want you to know that it is 100% authentic and open, and I just wanted to let you guys in on it as well because the conversation was so good. I did not expect for this to get as deep as it did. Like I said, Edie cried, I cried. It's an amazing time. So put your earbuds in, do this while multitasking. It is such a great conversation, and I'm so excited for you guys to experience Edie. She's one of my dearest friends, and I adore her and her entire family and team. They're absolutely amazing. So be sure to enjoy the podcast. And I have a brand new 3-day training that you can sign up for if you're interested in learning about my new offer, teaching you guys how to build your own membership and how to grow your own social media following. Check out the workshop right down below, The Profitable Creator.
Hey, House of Joy family, you are in for a treat today. I have a very special guest who is a dear friend of mine. You are going to love this interview. We have so many things that we love to talk about. So today's episode will be all about friendship, business, foster care, adoption, lake life, all the fun things that Tanner and I love to talk about. So I am going to let him introduce himself. But my guest today is Tanner Bell. Maybe Tanner can tell us after he introduces himself how we met, because it's a great story. We live in the same town. We both happen to do really interesting, kind of crazy online jobs. We go to the same gym. We live on the same lake. Woohoo! Yeah, we're just like connected in so many ways. And our family loves him so much. And we are so grateful to have him on the podcast. So welcome, Tanner.
Yay! I'm so glad to be here. I've been watching my entire team.
Oh,
Courtney,
House of Joy fans.
We're all big fans, so I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Tanner Bell. I have worked out with Edie for
years.
Years. I've been at the gym for now almost 7 years. This year will be my 7th.
Wow.
Crazy.
I
work online. I teach people how to craft, and it's so much fun. I've had a YouTube channel since 2010. I've been an influencer before the word influencer was a thing.
Yep.
And I was just recently talking to my wife, who also works in our business, Courtney. We've never had real jobs, and it's like so funny to like think about. So we just worked.
That. Well, you have to tell my amazing friends from House of Joy a little bit about your background, because you and I met years ago, probably 10 years ago, when you were, how old were you 10 years ago, Tanner?
Gosh.
Tell everyone.
I was 15. Yeah, I was probably 16 or 17 when we met in the bargain lot.
In the
bargain hunt.
Yeah.
Haven't been there forever.
Tanner and Courtney,
I stumbled upon Dr.
just stumbled
Edie.
upon each other, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I read your blog." You guys.
So I found out who you were because I was looking at an office.
Okay.
And you may have also looked at it prior. And they're like, oh, it was Mark Davenport.
Yes.
He had an office space. And he's like, there's this other blogger lady that does all this stuff online. I was like, who?
Who is this lady?
Who's doing other cool things in Morristown? I was like, he was like, oh, you will totally vibe with her. And I was like, it was just
that's
like,
so cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. So ever since then, Courtney and I
are like, oh, we got to check this lady out.
We'll check it out. We'll follow on the Facebook, on the Instagram. And then we're at Bargain Hunt. And then we see the celeb herself, which if you all are local, I tell people all the time, like, Edie is the queen of Morristown. If you are not from here, she's the queen of Morristown. If you're here, you already know. But like, seriously, we just stumbled upon her one day at Bargain Hunt. I think you were furnishing your office.
Yes.
And we were furnishing ours.
You were furnishing yours. Yeah, and it was so cool because you guys were so young. What impresses me so much about Tanner and Courtney, and now that we've been friends for years, and I know like even how much more amazing you both are than I thought you were back then. But it does amaze me, your story of how you got started in the online world. And both you and I, it's funny because when we started working out together at the gym, we literally went so deep. I think the first or second time we met, we were having stories about our childhood wins.
Seriously, always. That's how you know you're going to like go.
That's how you know
deep.
it's going to be good. And yeah, so it was really interesting, your story. And I think we have I feel like it's such a powerful friendship because we come from kind of similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
And we're ended up kind of doing similar things and have a lot of similar interests, but not without its share of, heartache and darkness. So just a little bit, give us a little background.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to really begin.
When did you start? Because I've seen this Baby Tanner video when you were literally 12 years old, I think.
So
when you started online.
So back in 2010, I started online. And what's to note about this is in 2010, my mom had just went through a really just hard divorce. What divorce isn't hard, right?
Yeah.
She had got her first home, really proud of her. And she was finishing the basement. Part of the negotiations of like that marriage was like, Tanner, I'm going to give you like a playroom in the basement. So I was like, okay.
Which Tanner turns into.
I turn into my office. And what was funny was we were building it out and I was like, Mom, there's this Cricut machine that this girl in my classroom was using to sell bookmarks. And I was like, okay, I want to make bookmarks and sell them to my class. Like, hello, this sounds great.
Yes.
So my teacher at the time was like, Tanner, you need a Cricut. And I was like, why do I need a bug?
Which I always, by the way, called it Cricut. I had no idea it was called Cricut when we first got one. So there you go.
So anyway, I went on HSN. I did not know there was a channel where people just bought stuff all day. Very fascinating.
Yep.
So by the end of the...
It's also where I bought my first sewing machine.
No way.
And didn't sew. So
okay. Well, so fun fact, my mom thought that would be my story with the Cricut.
Okay.
She thought she would order it. We would get it. At the time, I'm like 5th grade. I'm just going through hobbies.
You're Tom's age, by the way.
Oh, my... That's scary.
That's scary.
To think about.
I know.
It's crazy.
Okay, carry on.
Okay.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I know.
Tom is also one of my dear friends. I always think about Tom being the one that got me in the family. Thank you, Tom.
Tom so got Tanner in the family that now somehow we have Tanner's location and Tom randomly stalks him on a Saturday and goes, why is Tanner in Knoxville?
I love it. One day, how he got my location was we were going to each other's house and we went to each other's house. Like, y'all came to ours and we came here. Anyway, so she thought she was going to be able to return it. I talked her into getting it for the room downstairs, a little craft table. She negotiated and said, Tanner, I'll get you a craft table, but you have to always put it away when you're done with it. And like, she just had criteria for the clutter of crafting. I was like, okay, Mom, whatever. So she orders it. And then I go deep. I go to YouTube. No one was on YouTube in 2010.
No.
It was like really odd. But I needed to know how to use it.
I mean, I have to say, I was putting homeschool videos up in
Were you really?
Oh, yeah. You got to go look at my homeschool archives.
Oh, I'm working on my toddler.
And he's over there going, please don't.
I'm
Please
working
don't.
on my toddler homeschooling, and I'm like really deep in right now. It's pretty bad.
Nice.
Anyway, so I go to YouTube. I start watching every day. I come home from school. I'm watching YouTube videos.
Like how to make
on
stuff?
how to use
or
the
how
machine.
to use the machine. Okay.
Yeah, and like that was before Amazon Prime too, Edie. Like it took weeks
to learn.
Like, or before I even got the machine, I was watching with anticipation. So by the time I got the machine, I knew exactly how to use it. So a couple months later, my mom was like, Tanner, you love talking, obviously, and you love crafting. Like, what's stopping you from making videos?
Mom with the win right there.
Yeah, it
I
was
love that.
epic. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a channel. So right there, that Saturday morning, Click, click. I'm a YouTuber.
Y'all, for your viewing pleasure, we're going to link to Tanner's first couple of videos in the show notes.
Not
You're
if
going to
I
die.
don't give you the link.
You're going to die.
It's going to be good. So anyway, so I started posting videos. I did that for 6 months to a year. And I was like, okay, I need to like monetize this in some way.
Y'all, he's 12, but go ahead.
Yes, I'm 12. So I was like, okay, I was making these handmade cards and I was like, oh, I bet if I designed clear acrylic stamps that, you know, I could make them with like specific for dog lovers. Cause at the time, this could be a whole other podcast, we had like 12 or 13 dogs.
Did not know this.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I was like, Yorkie fans go hard.
Yep.
So we made dog inspired stamps. And surprisingly, with only a community of maybe 800 subscribers,
Yep.
which is totally different than like 800 followers in today's world, but they were loyal. Like if you had 800 subscribers, like almost all of them would watch, which is
Wow.
very different than today.
now, yeah.
Yeah. But so I started selling them and it was so funny. I would call like manufacturers myself
Wow.
and like negotiate and like find the right manufacturer and find people to partner with me. Had very little like Illustrator, Adobe skills, had to learn that and all of that. So I just started selling acrylic stamps and that was my first endeavor online.
yeah.
In between stamp creation, I went to a conference or two and found out people actually can make videos and get paid from brands.
Yes.
As like spokespeople or partners or creators. So I was like, Mom, like I really want to do that. Like if I got to pick my dream job, it'd be like making videos, not the manufacturing, not the shipping, not the customer
Right.
service, all of that. My mom was devastated. It was the first time in life and business that I had to pivot and not really know what was next.
Yeah.
But I knew like there was a drive in me that I was like, no, I am called to do something different. Like this was great, but there's something better. And that was like looking back, one of the
And
first times I pivoted in my business.
And how long would you say it was before you were, because I don't feel like it was that long before you were kind of making a living.
So that's where it gets really interesting. So in between that time of starting the channel, you know, my mom had got her first house, went through a divorce. A lot of things in our life shifted. A lot of things personally with my mom shifted. She ended up unemployed, very deep depression. We ended up starting to rely on my grandparents to financially support us. So I went to think about like, what could I do to contribute, right? Like
Yeah.
I had the stamps and I was doing some side work with video content. I had just met Courtney at a conference,
Okay.
funny enough, and we were debating making a website together. And I was debating making a new website for like teen crafts with Courtney at like 13. And then I remember contemplating at this time, I think maybe however old I was, you could work at Food City for a couple hours a week. So I was like, okay, if I work the max hours because of child labor laws, come on.
Darn it.
I was like, okay, I did all the math and I was like, okay, this could barely pay my electric bill. Like this is not contributing to the level I need to contribute. Like we have a mortgage. I think our mortgage was like $900 and like there's just a couple
And
other.
do you think at that point that you were so aware of that because you're being raised by a single mom?
1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was always very transparent with me in all walks of life.
Okay.
Looking back now, like it was just we were doing life together, I think, because
Yeah.
of the single
Yeah.
parent. And I really appreciate that. I think there's a level of vulnerability that you can have with your kid if you're going through a hard time, like just showing. And there's a lot of teaching moments that I learned from that.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for it because I was able to get real world experience
Yep.
quickly. Obviously creates other layers of
Yes.
uncertainty.
Of maybe, issues.
Definitely. So it's a fine line. Like it's hard to decide what that line is, like from protecting your kid and being, here's the world, here's our life circumstances.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
It led me into overworking. I still overwork because of it. So there's a flip, side. But at 13, I was like, okay, I could help pay the electric bill, or I could figure out how to make money online.
Yep.
So that's when I went to my grandparents' house after a conference where I met Courtney and I met someone that was local who was in craft industry. And I was like, okay, I went to my grandparents' house. I busted open this jug of money, which I feel like everyone have a jug
Everybody's
of money?
grandparents have a jug of money.
Yeah. So like that they had raised
I need to work on getting a jug of money because I'm now a grandparent. I don't have a jug of money.
It's so special, and they just put all their money in it. And I had it like my entire life at my grandparents' house, and I was like, okay, it's time to
break open the jug.
So I break it open. It had $400 in it.
Wow, what'd you do with it?
I took it all to the bank, and then I texted the lady who worked full-time in the craft industry, who lived in Cerebral, just relocated. I said, hey, can I take you out to dinner?
Wow. I did not see that coming, but go ahead.
And she said yes. She said yes. Her name's Margot Potter. Shout out to you, Margot. I love you forever. And we sat there, and I was like, Margot, I want to make a full-time living online. And she said, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to pick a niche. You need to have something to provide value for brands, and you need to pitch yourself.
Yep.
You know, at the time, I think I was like trying to make 30, 40,000 a year.
Yeah.
And 12 months later, me and Courtney had a thriving online blog together. We had
and
brand
you were
deals.
doing that like she lived in Pennsylvania.
She lived in Philly.
And you were here.
I lived here.
And y'all worked on it together.
And we just worked on it together. I remember like we had an editorial schedule. We took turns like writing articles and like learning how to pitch brands and learning like ads on websites, learning affiliate marketing. Like it was so much fun. It was like our hobby.
Yeah.
Like it was our hobby, and it made some money.
That's crazy. So when I saw you guys, when I first met you,
Yeah.
where were you in the process? You had that for a while.
We landed some really interesting teen like crafter spokespeople gigs.
Okay.
That were like long-term contracts.
Okay.
So that's why we had an office space. We had a lot of brand deals, a lot of, our website was hitting.
Back then you were kind of more like an influencer in the craft space.
1,000. Yeah. We had no products of our own. We were just little teen influencers. We helped like sell like paint for a paint brand that was sold like in the craft stores, Deco Art. And yeah, that's what we did. We literally made content for brands as well as our own blog.
And how old were you, would you say, that you were making that much? Like what would be considered a living?
By the time
like
we were
15, 16?
Yeah. By the time we were 15, we were probably doing an average salary, and then it just continued to grow. I mean, that's what was crazy. It continued to grow. And then there was another, like, I don't know, I call it like a pivotal time.
Where you realize like, okay, we can't do this forever.
Yeah.
Or we don't want to.
I was working a lot. I was about to graduate high school.
Were you doing homeschooling?
I had transitioned in 7th grade from brick and mortar to online.
And did you basically do that so that you could work more?
Yeah,
Okay.
1,000%. I had meetings. Edie,
You had work to do.
I had stuff to do.
Who's got time for school?
Exactly. I mean, I think the whole time I was like, wow, this is actually working.
Yeah.
But I also was like working a lot.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't great with my time, but I also was really working a
Yeah.
lot. I was like, this is not like when I'm 30, like I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's like when I started like trying to figure out like, are there ways to make money
More passively.
smarter and things like that. And like that's when I really started like diving into like trying to build something of my own.
Yes. So awesome.
Yeah.
And then that is when it really took off, when you started developing courses and your membership.
2017, I lost like 2 big contracts all at once the year I was graduating high school. And I ended up getting a phone call from Cricut. They were like, hey, can you come work on a secret project with us?
Oh, nice.
And I was like, well, I lost 2 contracts. Sure.
So sure. I have a lot of time now.
I have a lot of time. And they said, we couldn't really describe to you what we want you to come out here for. Will you just come out?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they asked us to help launch a new machine. They were totally fine us creating like our own courses and curriculum around it. We were one of the only 6 influencers, I think, at the time with the machine for a couple of weeks before it launched. And that is really the groundwork of what is today.
Yeah. And you run a YouTube channel now called Maker's Gonna Learn with 9 bajillion subscribers. Am I right about that? Yes, I am.
600,000 or so, something like that. Yeah.
And I have been, had the privilege of getting to know you way more intimately through this phase of your business, which has been so interesting because now that you've had such a successful online business for a long time, everybody wants your help building their online dream. And so it's been fun to watch you, transition again and, start helping people.
I'm
do
so excited.
What you've done.
I'm really I feel like I'm in a pivot. And
Yeah.
Edie has been such a great friend to be in the trench of a pivot for me. This has been a lot harder of a pivot.
Yeah.
Just because I have such a successful craft business, but I really, working online and building an online business has changed my entire life, and I want more people to experience that. So I'm willing to go through the trenches and figure out how to build a great offer to help people have the same results that me and you have, because I think it's transformed everything for us. And we'll dive into our foster care journey and things like that, but when I look back at how I can show up and take in kids and just do all of that, I couldn't do that without an online business behind me, without something that has, passive income opportunities and things like that. Anytime we have all of the DCS appointments on our calendar, we have an adoption class tonight for 2 or 3 hours, which yes, we're in the middle of adoption, which we'll get there. But I always am just so grateful to Past Tanner for
how he sets you
up. Yeah.
I'm so grateful to Past Tanner too for how he set us all up for all this good stuff we're learning. Yeah. And so it's been so fun for us because as I've been growing my business online, you've been such a good mentor to me. And I think because I'm quite a bit ahead of you in sort of the family relationship realm.
Yeah.
It's been such a good give and take.
Listen, every morning we get to CrossFit and there's never a day we don't have something to talk
We're
about.
We have so much to say. And on the occasion that you're not there or you're there and I'm not there, we're texting each other
where are you?
What are you doing? You're supposed to be here right now.
Now, when we talk about the family and relationship stuff, back in 2019, I didn't really know what you did. I didn't really understand what coaching was, and I didn't really understand really anything about it.
You had no idea you needed it.
I had no idea I needed it. And what I want to share is that Dr. Edie is amazing and brilliant. But there's one situation that I have to share, and I feel like the podcast will really benefit.
Okay.
And it's the first time you explained to me that my thoughts create my feelings. And at the time,
and it wasn't all those other people creating those feelings for you.
It was really not the advice I wanted. So here's the situation.
Nobody likes to know, oh, you mean it's not all these annoying people in my life? You mean it's just me?
Yeah. So, and this is my testimony on life coaching. Honestly, I tell people this. I've taught my own clients this, and I share this story often. It goes back to, I was really struggling with my future in-laws. They'd invited me on this beautiful vacation, and I was about to be with them for a week. And I'll never forget going to the gym the days leading up.
I remember the day.
I will never forget this day. And I'm just telling Edie all of my really hard life circumstance. I'm about to go to Turks and Caicos with my in-laws that at the time didn't really get along with much. And I was really dreading it. There was a lot of dread. I think I wanted to either back out. And I just was already predetermining it was going to be a bad vacation.
Yep.
And I'll never forget this. All Edie says is, Tanner, think of really good thoughts about them and the way you feel will shift. So that entire week was a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I think there's very few people in my life that I really respect. And honestly, you are one of the very few people. If anyone else would have said that to me,
you'd have been
and this is what Courtney would tell you, my wife, she's like, if anybody else said that, Tanner would have been like, forget that. But when Edie says it, it hits different, which is really funny. So I spent that whole week practicing that.
Practicing thoughts about your in-laws.
Yeah, and trying to shift the perspective of when someone's trying to be overbearing, they just really want to care about me.
Yeah.
They love me. They're caring about me. And slowly but surely, like an onion, day by day, incident by incident, situation by situation, it shifted slowly and slowly. And now I'm just so grateful for that experience, because now I spend more time with my in-laws than anyone else.
I know. And it's so sweet. I was just at your house and I I mean, it does make me kind of teary-eyed because I was just at your house and I looked at how beautiful your all's relationship is together, how loving they are to you. You can just feel the love in the air that they have for you, that you have for them, that they have for the boys and Courtney. It's so sweet because I was sitting there talking to your mother-in-law and we both were just within 5 minutes crying about what it's like to be a Grammy.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it just... Yeah, it's so incredible that kind of connection is available to us, and we think it's not, or we don't take advantage of it.
Oh,
and we
I
don't
totally
do the inner work ourselves.
Yeah, no,
to get
I
there.
totally would have thought it was a them issue.
Yeah.
I would have 100%, but in reality, it was just me, and
Yeah.
I have the power and I have the control to shift how I think and to think new things, to decide. Like,
Yeah.
it was really just, I mean, it's changed everything. There's not an amount of words to even put to how it's impacted my entire life. Like, this past Christmas, Courtney and I, like, after Christmas Day, and not because of any material thing, like, just the amount of love and joy that was in
That
our
you had.
house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's priceless.
Yeah.
It is absolutely priceless. The connection that we had there, and we spent so much time with them. I mean, it is, I just did not I did not know it was even possible for me. Like, it was the
so
biggest shift
amazing.
probably of my entire life. One of them.
And I look at you because you have such business savvy. Like, my team jokes when I jump on Voxer after I leave the gym and have 90 million ideas for that now we all need to implement. They're like, oh my gosh, she was talking to Tanner again. Like, you are a business genius. You have so many great ideas. And I often think that, like, that area where we're kind of naturally gifted in, that's great. But then there's this area where God often needs to do a little work. He needs to soften us and mold us. And, you know, and I just think your willingness to do that is just so unlike most people. Like, the humility, like, even being able to consider, like, oh, is there something in me that I could shift, instead of expecting that, you know, that it's always other people or
Yeah.
that other people need to shift. I just think that's amazing because most people aren't really willing to do that. And I think what it has given you is this, I have watched, at least from my perspective over the last 4 years, I have watched your life explode with growth and love, and that it's not just work and the
Yeah.
strategy there, but like, you, this is, I think, will be your second or third summer where you're like, I'm getting all this work done before the summer because we are hanging out on the lake.
And
Like,
I think
you
it
have
goes
such
back. I think it goes back to that because at that time period, I was witnessing your life, and I was witnessing the business you're building, the life you have, truly an integration of both that I definitely had a desire for.
Yeah.
That, you know, if I have a family that I say I want to be super involved with, super passionate around.
Yeah.
And if I end up creating a business too, that gives me that flexibility, and then I'm with them and I can't enjoy it. Like, it just goes back to, like, having a mentor like you, who I actually respect enough to, like, even consider that it is me, right?
Yes.
Like, it's such a, I mean, you're such an example of a life that can integrate, a life that you can have both, that you can host. Like, I read your emails and I'm like, I love seeing all your
Tanner-
family pictures.
I
Like,
love Tanner. He'll comment on my emails. I'm like, you're reading my emails. That's so great.
Yeah.
Although I read your emails too. So anyways, but yeah. And I think that is so important because I think it's so easy it's easy for me too, because I'm very driven like you. And I think in a lot of ways, an overachiever,
Yeah.
for maybe some of the same reasons you're an overachiever. And I think just being able to be honest with ourselves when we're doing that to our detriment and we're not prioritizing the things that we say that matter most. And we also both happen to be at the same time involved in foster care adoption.
okay, I had no idea. Like, there was this is crazy. Me and Courtney were just talking about this. We had no idea how quick you had gotten Tom to when we met.
Oh,
Like, we would have thought that
we had him
that
for-
you'd have had him years.
forever.
Like, when we really start looking at the timeline, I don't know what you had posted, but we were like, wait, I was like, I had no idea. It was crazy.
We probably got Tom after you started coming to the gym, I think.
Probably.
We got him in 2019. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I remember we started doing Halloween together. I think we actually started hanging out.
Yeah.
Because
that Halloween.
that Halloween, I invited Tom to our Halloween party.
Yes.
And they actually showed up. And me and
came.
Tom hit it off. Courtney just pulled up the picture and showed me.
He was a cowboy that year, wasn't he?
Well, what year was he not?
What year was he not a cowboy? That's the question.
But yeah, I couldn't even fathom that super unique journey. And Tom is so special to us, and to see his growth.
It's insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you guys have, I think maybe, I don't know what it is. You have a special, unique relationship with him. He loves you guys so much. He respects you so much. He's actually doing his job shadowing this week on Thursday with Tanner.
I can't wait. We're going to take him by all of our rental property.
Oh, fun.
We're going to take him to the office. Everyone at work already knows him. He came by, I think, last summer and hung out for a minute. I feel
Well, he told me earlier this year that he was going to work for you. And I said, that's great, Tom. But eventually you'll be Tanner. Like, work
easy.
for him, learn from him, and then go build, your own thing. But it's so awesome to have somebody in his life that's a male that he really looks up to and respects. And you guys do such fun stuff with him. You call us and invite us to stuff, and we hang out on the lake. And
listen, me and Tom,
he's
cannot busting
wait.
my chops all the time over my jet skis.
Yeah, he's
not
always
his
telling
brand,
Tanner that he has the wrong jet ski. He's got the wrong boat.
He's
when you getting a new boat,
shopping.
Tanner?
I love it.
Well, he's really excited because he's already figured out when he's going to be able to take the jet ski here and drive to your house by himself.
Yeah. It's kind of scary how soon it is.
I know. It is scary how soon it is. But we appreciate that so much. And it's just, it's been so amazing. And the funny thing is, we are now like 4 years, into our journey with him, and our adoption is getting close to final. We just had our court date where the parental rights were severed, which is, a sad and a relieving thing. Like, we hate that in a way, but you're also like, okay, we need to get some closure here. And you guys just had yours. And now we're both have one more court date for our final adoptions. And it's going to be literally within weeks of each other, I bet.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah. So catch me having a crying, tearful, all the time. I've just been in tears so much thinking about it. I think too, because it's been for you guys too, adoption and foster care is just not for the faint of heart. It's been quite a journey. And I just watch Tom's growth. I watch him fight for his own healing. I watch him not internalize any of this, but get it all out there. And it's like he just deals with everything as it comes, and all the loss and grief and anger, which sometimes is hard on us because he is kind of an outward verbal processor.
Yes.
But as he's done that over the years, he gets healthier and healthier, and it's hard.
He's a different person.
He's a different person. I can hardly even talk about what a powerful transition that he has had. And we always said to ourselves, I hope he doesn't lose that charm, that essence of who he is. No, not a chance.
He's gonna be 40 years old, still with the charm, still with the spunk. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, so cool.
And for you guys, what was your journey like? Because Stevie and I had always talked about adopting, and then our opportunity to adopt Thomas came about with one of Steve's patients. So Steve's patient, Irene, got custody of this little baby, and she was 75.
She brought him to
when she brings this baby in to a doctor's appointment, my husband's like, Miss Irene, what are you doing with a newborn? And even right then, he texted me that day and said some what turned out to be prophetic things that we were going to be in Tom's life. But he also told her, we would love to help with Thomas anytime. We've always, we have older kids. We've always thought about adopting. We went through got a home study. And she did. She finally took us up on it. And that's how we got to be in his life. And then she died a few years later. But I'm curious for you guys, because I think it has been on the list of you and Courtney, but you're so young,
right,
to be so involved already in foster care adoption.
So I was telling you a little bit about how open my mom was with everything for me. My mom was a caseworker. for the
that's
department.
right.
Yeah, she was a caseworker, and throughout her cases, whether or not she should have shared, but she did, she showed me pictures of what some homes looked like. And at 6 years old, sitting at my mom's desk in her bedroom, looking at these pictures, I said, if I'm ever fortunate enough to have a home with an extra bedroom, I will foster.
Stop it.
And then I meet Courtney, and her aunt had fostered over 40 babies.
I did not know this.
Yes. So when me and Courtney met and started, getting to know
Eileen's
each other.
sister or
Eileen's sister, yeah. Eileen's sister fostered over 40 babies, come in and out of her home.
Wow.
She would be like that temporary holding spot for the permanency for those children. Courtney and I said from day one that we would foster. And we got married in August of 2020. Courtney,
I was at the wedding, by the way.
Oh, so
It was
much fun.
beautiful.
Courtney had to live in the state of Tennessee a certain amount of time
Before you could
we
do
can
it.
start. What's funny is you have to be with an agency. You have to be 25 to foster.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But if you foster directly from the state,
Through the state?
you can be 21.
Okay.
So we
they had to wait for their birthdays
no,
before they could foster.
no, we both were 21.
Oh, you both
but
were
we
21.
We ended
Okay.
up having to wait for her to be a resident long enough.
Okay.
And we started class, August of 2020, we got married. And we started class February of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so intentional.
Courtney, listen, when very much in our entire life, we'll have a vision, and Courtney is such an executor. She just gets it done.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've got so many tears coming up right now because I just went to the zoo with you guys and watching her. She's so young to be such a precious mama, and watching her with little baby. Can I say his name? No.
Sure.
Watching her with little baby Colton. I am and just watching her with the twins too. So we go to the zoo. Y'all have a newborn and 2-year-old twins, and me and Tom. And just watching you guys, it literally is so inspiring. Amazing, amazing. And I know that since you've gotten custody of the new baby, it's really changed your life drastically again. And Courtney and her daily schedule, it's really changed drastically a lot.
Appointment after
She's
appointment.
like an angel.
After
Y'all are
appointment.
angels after appointment. Thank the Lord you have such a flexible job.
Yeah. The support we have is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Courtney's the sweetest.
And the other
mom.
thing, can we say about the twins?
I don't know what
Okay.
part you can. Sure,
Yeah, I can say
I
whatever.
didn't ask Courtney. So here's the thing: I didn't ask Courtney what we can talk about, what we can't talk about. But the team's letting us know we could cut it. Seriously, not. What I find so special is last Wednesday, the Lord lined out everything for where we just took custody of the twins' half brother.
Y'all, the twins have a baby brother, a newborn baby brother, and they took that little baby
the little baby, which was so funny. In September, Courtney woke up one night feeling kind of like Stevie, this prophetic, I think the birth mom is just go have another baby.
Wow.
And we just kind of was like, what would that look like? What would that be? Is Courtney crazy or not? And then we spent the whole month of January pretty much traveling. We weren't home. I did a business trip after we went on a trip together. Then I went on another trip, and I was on the flight back from skiing, and I was like, I just feel like I would love a little baby. And I've never had it was the feeling of having the twins and being up late with them. It was just the weirdest feelings.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a week later
that
until we got a call saying that the bio mom had another baby.
Wow.
And what's interesting was with this one, we thought she had wanted to work a plan to get the baby back. And then we also had termination of parental rights as well for the father of the twins. And somehow the Lord just worked over that entire day. And they both surrendered on the same day. I mean, it was
Wow.
probably one of the hardest days. I mean,
Yeah.
determination is so
It's
hard.
so hard.
It's for us, they both ended up surrendering, which is such a blessing. And like
It's
the
like
amount
such a
of love,
mixed- I know.
the amount of love we have for both of them is just so
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
And just gratitude and like
Yep.
raising someone else's children.
Yep.
So heavy, but so special. I mean, it's an honor.
Yeah.
I got to meet the twins' birth father after he surrendered, and his first question was, "How are the boys?" And it was so, like, it meant so much to Courtney and I about that. And because we had fostered before, and just sometimes the child might get, I don't want to say forgotten about, but it can feel that way.
It feels that way, yeah.
And for him to like, that would be his first question, meant so much to us.
Yeah.
And then,
And what I love too for you guys is like the first set of kids that you fostered.
yeah,
We still see.
We
like,
still
they
see
still
them.
love to come to see you. And last
Yeah.
time you had them, we all went out
To the
together
mall,
and to the mall. It was
and-
so
yeah,
fun.
it's
And
so
I just
special.
think that's so special too, that those kids will never forget.
yeah. I mean,
That
we
time in
truly,
their lives.
And I think when it comes to foster care, like, we truly started foster care for reunification. Like, we didn't start out to adopt. I think, a lot of people assume just because we foster that we can't have children of our own.
Right.
Like,
Right.
there's so many like preconceived thoughts of like why
Yeah.
people do it and like what to do. And like, we truly set
Just
out
from the beginning, knew that's what you're gonna do.
Hands wide open, heart wide open, like, Lord, use us, use
Yeah.
our home. It's yours, not ours. And when we got the call for the twins, it was such an immediate yes. I mean, we'd always wanted twins. They run in both of our families. So like, that was so important. And Courtney had just read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and
Yep.
like how important that first month is. And when they told us that the twins had been at the NICU for a month without anyone besides the snugglers and the nurses,
Yeah.
like, that just broke us. And we were like, no, that we will be there.
be there.
So we said yes to the twins on a Friday in March, the last Friday of March. And at 4:00 we said yes. And by 6:00 we had newborn twins. And after we met the father of the twins, come to find out, we're related.
I know. This is the craziest twist in the story. You guys, they're related.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Like distant
we're-
cousins.
Now, what's funny was there's a lot, but it took a while. We'll just say it took a while to find out who the real dad of the twins were. So that's part
First
of
clue was they have the same last name.
Yeah, we have the same last name, and we're from the same area. So it's been such a unique merger. And, as I was telling him, even before we found out we're related, I was just telling him like how much of an honor it is to like wake up every morning and like it be the most important job I've ever had, to raise his children, and how much I love getting up with him every morning. And like, even now when I was trying to say it to him, like, I felt like my voice just go out. Like, it was so hard to even put to words how much
Yeah.
of an honor it is to wake up every day to take care of his children and to put them to bed and to walk with them and to lead them and just raise those kids. And ever since then we've texted, and he, and I spoke, and he's just, now it's just such a unique thing what God's restoring, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because he had so much weight and guilt, I think, for surrendering.
Yeah.
But for so many circumstances, he wasn't ready or able. So it's really,
Yeah.
it's really neat. I would have never expected any of that.
I know.
But, a lot of that scares people away. But I think just being so obedient to the Lord and like his plan, it's
Yeah.
far beyond.
Yeah.
Far
what we
beyond.
what we can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, so much of it, especially with babies, you're just in the weeds of taking care of them, that I think, I have noticed that these moments for you where it's like, it chokes you up. It's like the reality of, or the weight
Yes.
of what you're doing. And I know for us, it's like that. I have those moments even more often now, but I remember the first time Tom got sick here. And I just remember thinking what a privilege to be with somebody when they're sick, that there's somebody to love you and take care of you and hold your hair back and put the wet cloth on your head and, you know, like all the things. Like, it's like in those moments where you go, what a privilege this is that I get to do this, you know, for this person that I love so much. But yeah.
Usually at like 3 a.m. when the twins were so little, we brought them home at 4 pounds and 4.5 pounds. They were very premature, 32 weeks. So not very premature, but little. I mean, they were little. I mean, you saw them and
they
you
were
even,
tiny babies.
Dr. Edie even said she was a little worried when she met them. Like they were little. And like when you're sleep deprived, cause me and Courtney were getting up 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, like all throughout the night, you would just be feeding them and be like, Lord, are they okay? Like, you know, you're just like delusional, but you're just like, wow, like, it's just such an honor. And I think foster care really for me solidified that like none of this is ours. Like this is all the Lord's. Like it just is really another deeper level of just realizing like how much none of this really matters. How much work you can do. You know, what's the point if you're not really going
I remember
deep?
you and I end up in the same mastermind for business, which is so fun because it's just so fun because so much of our worlds, you know, collide. But I remember we were talking about this not too long ago and you were like, yeah, we haven't really had, you know, our business got to this amazing level and we really haven't had growth. And I'm like, except you have grown 2 babies
other
and
place.
you've had lots of growth. And I think it's exactly that where you kind of hold it all loosely. It's all a gift. So thankful to be able to steward it and to, you know, all of the things. And it's really a fun, interesting life we both have. It makes me so thankful for you because so many people don't really understand what it is we do. Or I think even the pressure that being an entrepreneur, a small business owner carries. It's nice to have somebody who can understand that and who gets it. You know,
I think it's really interesting. And what you said about, you know, the stewarding, I think that's where I like try to really walk a fine line of like how I could find myself like really easily able to overwork is like, oh no, I've got to steward it. There's all, you know, you can always steward better. You can use that against yourself. You can always use it. Yeah. You can always use it against it. But then, you know, you really have to kind of decide. And I think the weight of being a business owner is a lot. I mean, because I don't know for you, you know, you obviously pivoted a lot in your business too. But it's really interesting as the leader having to be confident enough and strategic enough to pivot, right? Like, you know, it's really fascinating to have that weight on your shoulders. So I totally agree.
It's really been such a blessing to have really what I feel like is just such a good friend with values that are so aligned that can kind of help you stay in the place of what really matters. You know,
and listen, me and Edie go back and forth a lot about, you know, should we launch this thing real fast? And maybe I'm still on the verge of, yes, we should.
Real fast.
But Edie's constantly slowing me down, which is really, really fun and really keeping it like focused and like making sure.
I feel like I'm slowing you down and you're like, hey, maybe you should try this. Hey, maybe you should try this. And I'm like, great idea, Tanner. Maybe I should try this.
It's fun. I love to see like how much growth we've both had in very different ways. Because I think the hardest part for me is like really accepting and agreeing that like everything's not about the business growth and like I can have a season of slow and a season of easy and a season of
lake life. Can't wait for that
special.
Season. It's going to be
Listen,
soon.
this weather out here.
I know. Listen, what this weather is, Tanner, is pickleball weather.
Oh, are we going after?
We're going to play pickleball.
Good. They've got me into pickleball, y'all. Have y'all started yet? Like this is a movement.
Listen, it's something else. And we were both like, we may have to cut the podcast short because we've got to save time for pickleball. I am curious for you. What do you see as far as like somebody listening to the podcast who's like inspired by all the things, maybe inspired by, you know, the business, the freedom, everything that you've created, the foster family, adoption, like all of that, even fitness, like you and I together. I mean, man, we have gotten into shape in the last few years.
So much fun.
Yeah, all those things. Like, what is your, I guess, like your overarching or sort of guiding principle that kind of keeps you centered with all of that?
Well, the way I look at it is that you can't be a smart business owner without taking care of yourself. You can't be fit without taking care of yourself. You can't care for others without what? Taking care of yourself. So really, I think for me, unapologetically taking care of me, and most of the world doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think there's a resistance, and it feels selfish, and it feels hard, and it feels, what are people going to think about taking care of me?
Yeah.
But over the last decade, I've never regretted taking care of myself and making sure what that could look like. I think
you naturally do it better than I do too. Like, I get inspired by your.
Oh, really?
Well, like, even sometimes, I do. Like, I'm like, well, he just went and took care of that, or he just went and, or like whatever. I think I do it, but I'm like a little bit late to the game because I also think, like, for moms, we're always so focused on everybody else. But since I have made it more of a priority, like, okay, I have to get good sleep. I have to, like, there are certain things now that I feel like are just non-negotiable for me.
Yes. I think non-negotiable is a great way of saying it.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many non-negotiables that I have on how I'm going to operate, how I'm going to show up. And I will say, I was doing a lot of them before I even had that successful of a business, or that, it doesn't even take much, it's more about it's more about the time, you know, the time to prioritize yourself. And I think, like, that's the secret. Like, that's the only secret.
I do think we both have, over the last couple of years, really prioritized not overworking, which is
1,000%.
hard for both of us because we both
love
what we do.
It.
We love to work.
Isn't that weird? Like, I don't know how to explain it to someone. And you do have seasons of where you're working harder than you probably would like. And, it's not that we're out of, like, work, but it is like a different type of having such a desire, but also having to control it.
And I've gotten to the point, honestly, maybe it's pickleball, but basically I just want to play pickleball and listen to Post Malone. I mean,
I just want to be with the boys. Like, I literally am like, I just want to be at the park with the boys, and like that's a workout in of itself.
I'm the same way. Grandbabies.
Oh, Edie's obsessed with her grandbabies.
Pickleball. Tom time.
Listen, it's
Emmy
the
time.
Best.
All my kids. Like,
you have so many kids.
I have so many kids, and the kids that live close to me, they're probably like, please get another hobby lady or something else. But anyways,
it's
I am kind of obsessed
sweet
with my kids.
I was telling Courtney, I never thought that, like, we had such a unique relationship. Like, me and you and Courtney and Steve are all raising kids around the same age and totally different walks of life with our older foster kids. And I was like, oh, that was one of the things that was so sad. Like, our roller skating Saturdays, or all the different things
we did together when you had older kids.
Yes. And then I was like, oh, like, that
but we just still
shifting.
Keep coming around.
Well, we keep together, but now Edie's got these grandbabies. I'm like, this is a whole new level. The zoo, just rocking with the grandbabies.
We did. We brought baby Eli to the zoo with Tanner. I'm like, I can hang with you little young things with your babies, sort of.
So fun.
Well, we are so thankful to hear more of your story. I can't wait till the summer, we are I'm looking right out this gorgeous lake. Tanner lives just down the lake. So we'll be seeing lots of each other this summer and playing lots of pickleball.
Woohoo.
In the meantime, we have this thing that we do on the podcast where you talk about your favorite 3 things that you're loving right now. So, not to put you on the spot or anything, but give us your 3.
All right. I've already forgot my third one, but I remember
your first one because we're all obsessed with it.
Literally, if you are local, or if you come visit Morristown for one of Edie's amazing events that she should start hosting in Morristown, I don't know. It's a very special place here. You got to go to 60 Beans, and you need to order a large iced latte.
We call it the Tanner, but go ahead.
An extra shot. And I had been putting
large iced latte, extra shot of espresso
2 pumps of caramel
with 2 pumps of caramel.
Make sure it's the sauce.
That's
I've
called
been
the Tanner.
addicted to this, but I've also been in a season of working a lot.
Okay.
And it's very close to my office, so it's very nice.
The girls, Emmy and Katie, who are producing this podcast, can testify that last week when we were filming, we went to 60 Beans and we ordered it and we called it the Tanner.
Where was I?
Most podcasts,
Most
sitting beside.
yes. Listen, you've got to have a good coffee to have a good podcast.
Yes.
So number 2 is my Ningxia Red that Edie this winter told me to mix with some minerals from anytime I feel like I'm getting sick. It's like every 2-3 hours. I'm like having 2 ounces of the Ningxia with my minerals. Within 48 hours, I'm fine.
It's crazy, y'all.
Like, where do you learn this stuff?
Well, listen, I've been doing this natural health thing for a long time, and we have been talking about Ningxia a lot because everybody in Young Living's been doing this Ningxia reset, which is amazing. But years ago, when I first started, somebody told me to try these minerals from Young Living, and I was like, these are the nastiest things that I have ever tasted in my life. It's just salty, gooey, cinnamony, like, ooh, not good. And so then we started trying to figure out ways to
incorporate it.
Incorporate the minerals, because a lot of sickness comes from mineral deficiency. Yep. And these minerals are really well absorbed because they're from the Salt Lake and they have this ionic.
Okay.
They're like in their ionic form. So anyways, really well absorbed. So we were just trying to find ways to sneak them in.
I can't even taste it in the Ningxia.
Yeah, and what I do, did I tell you to put alkaline in it? So you put Ningxia,
did.
alkaline, minerals, and you have left out the alkaline, haven't you?
Okay. So fun fact, never had any soda in my entire life. I've never
Oh,
had
you do. That's right.
I've
You don't
never
like
had
carbonation.
I've never had carbonation, and it scares me to death.
Can we take a moment of silence for the fact that Tanner has never had carbonation? Like, yes, Emmy's making the sign of the cross. Okay,
Yeah. So
wow.
carbonation scares me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't not live without carbonation. I
Yep.
mean, sparkling water.
Coffee and water.
Tom now, by the way, can drink a whole sparkling water, and he acts like, you know that face you make sometimes when you drink something that's real spicy and you make this face? Tom
Is
will drink
carbonation
it,
spicy?
Drink it and make that face. It's kind of spicy, you know? Like,
What's spicy about it?
I don't know. It's just like burn, spicy.
It's hot. Like you all are scaring me about this carbonation. Like, why would anyone want it?
Tanner, are we going to have to,
No, we're
on
not.
this live
Nope, nope,
podcast,
nope,
make you
nope.
drink
Absolutely not.
some carbonation?
Back to my favorite things. My third favorite thing has been pickleball. I will say, and I have to explain why it's my favorite thing.
Okay,
My
tell me.
third favorite. I really want to play like all the time. Like
We do too.
I can't even explain it. Like tennis, you get burnt out. I would say like really easily burnt out.
Yeah.
But pickleball, I can hit the racket and like, I mean,
Well, here's the only thing
Ugh.
I'm going to say about this.
tell me.
Because we're all kind of at the same level. You know, like we can hit it. You can like keep a volley going. You can hit it, whatever. I played last week with my son, Taylor.
Is he like really, really good?
Oh my gosh. And he like puts a bunch of spin on the ball. Like he easily beat me, and I was highly offended by that because I'm like, I'm the one who's been playing pickleball, first of all. And it just made me realize that we are going to need to hire a pickleball coach,
Yeah.
or we are going to have
We're gonna be
to get
behind.
better, because us just always playing with each other, we can have fun. It's going to be great, but are we going to be able to go to pickleball tournaments? I don't
Guys,
know.
you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
You're the average of the 5 pickleball players
Yes.
you play the most with, and we're going to need to up our
Yes.
game. That's all I'm saying.
Literally.
I mean, I love you all, but
Okay.
we need a coach.
More sound needs the coach. Come on. What's your favorite things?
Okay, Emmy and I had this discussion earlier, and the girls made so much fun of me and started laughing so hard because I was talking about how obsessed I am with Posty, aka Post Malone.
He's
Watch
not
it
new to the
over
scene,
there.
right?
He's not new to the scene, but and this is what Emmy goes. She goes, "Mom, I've been liking Post Malone since 2016." I'm like, "Well, I haven't. I just recently."
What do
found
you
him.
like about him?
Tanner? We're gonna on the way to pickleball. We're gonna go on a deep dive.
Okay.
Into Post Malone's Instagram.
What?
Yeah, because he's been covering all these country songs.
I just love to know that Dr. Edie also prowls the social. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, I just hope the listeners also agree. Like, I just think, like, I'm down here a lot of times and, like, Dr. Edie's up here. But guys, she's
Oh, no,
clearly
she's not.
still on
She's clearly-
Instagram prowling.
She is
I love
clearly
this.
in the trenches, prowling on Post Malone's Instagram, and I'm obsessed with all of his covers of Sturgill Simpson. I'm impressed with his
I
cover
don't know who
of
any of these
Toby
people
Keith.
are.
I know you don't,
know
but
any of
you're
these
going to
people.
learn. I'm impressed with his America the Beautiful at the Super Bowl.
Don't know what that is.
Like, I feel like I can't get enough. I've looked through all the relevant videos that I can find on Instagram, and I just need people to start sending me all your favorite country covers of Post Malone.
Yeah. Oh, there's an album.
Okay.
This is
Thanks,
really big
Sam.
for you.
But he also, like, I don't know anything about him, honestly, and I know he's got a lot of face tattoos, which I think
seems like
is
a great
kind of
guy.
precious, but he's so precious. But
Yeah.
Emmy just told me he does like beer pong. I don't know about beer pong, but
I mean, you never know. We cannot confirm or deny anything about Posty.
about Posty.
Except the music is good?
That I love his sweet personality. He's always saying, I love you.
Stop it.
I love
Edie,
him.
I love this enthusiasm. Can I really just? How did we get here?
I don't know. What's that? Oh, Pickup Man. Yeah. So he covered, like, Joe Diffie. They did like
I
some
don't
kind
know
of
who that
special.
is either.
Tanner, why am I going to have to give you a whole
I'm 25.
tutorial in country music?
Okay.
I know, but if I had raised you, you would know all the country
Yeah.
songs. So ask Tom who Joe Diffie is.
Okay.
Next time you see him.
Totally. Well, I will Thursday.
He knows. Like, Tom and I did a deep dive a few months ago on Joe Diffie. So anyways, Post Malone did a cover of Joe Diffie with Morgan Wallen and who else? Hardy, right? Yeah, Hardy. And I became obsessed, and that is when I started my
And
deep
you
dive
just had
into
to go
Post Malone.
deep. I love that.
I love him.
Is he all
I make
three of your favorites?
I've got no lies to tell.
Is he all, like? Is he just representing 1, 2, and 3 of your favorites?
1, 2, and 3 because because it's that good. It's that deep.
Wow.
I think he and I could be best friends. And Trista, by the way, Trista, who is also our good friend, who is the wife of Galen, who owns our gym.
So special.
She frequently posts things about Post Malone that I probably would have missed otherwise. That's how I found the Toby Keith one. So I sent her a very, very sweet message of gratitude for posting.
This is
For
really
posting
something else.
And so all
I
three
love
of
it.
my top threes this week, Post Malone.
Period. That's all we need is Post Malone. I love this.
My girls are loving it too.
This podcast is so special.
It's
this is a
so
whole other
good.
side of Dr. Edie.
Guys, I know. See, these are the takes. These are the hot takes that you would never get if I was just doing my coaching episode. So thank you to Emily May and Katie
Woohoo!
for bringing
Thanks for having
out
me.
the pop culture side of Miss Edie. All
love
right,
it.
you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please, we're going to link to all of Tanner's goodness. Go follow him. Send him lots of love. I can tell you one thing. My girls and I, when they're home for Christmas, Emmy can confirm. What is the day that you do your whole day long?
We
that
have a Black
watch?
Friday. You all watch our Black Friday event, and then at the last session
Black
of our
Friday.
Black Friday event, we have a craft off. It's
That's
never,
what we're obsessed.
It's never me crafting off. It's always me hosting and like giving commentary. I could not craft under pressure, but our craft producers can craft
I
under
couldn't
pressure.
craft under pressure either, but I feel
Next
like
year,
I
me and
want.
Edie should compete.
We should compete.
That would be hilarious.
We should compete because I'm telling you,
Y'all are
we
already
sat
watching
in
it.
our
You can just
bed-
come over.
We sat in our bed. How many hours? Hours watching
So funny.
your craft off on Black Friday. So,
special.
anyways, you have to go follow Tanner, his craft channel, and just all the. You've been making such awesome videos lately too, just about helping people build their online business, sharing your story. So, anyways, everybody go follow Tanner. Send him
Thank you.
all the love. Tell him we sent you, and thanks so much for joining us today. It's
Thanks
been
for
so
having
fun.
me.